Ladies and gentlemen, here we go into the second game between BCQD and Choya. Choya is down 0-1 right now, but FXO is up 2-0. So they're looking really good. Let's go ahead and get into this game where BCQD is looking to put the
team on the scoreboard, man.
On the scoreboard, man.
They're down 0-2. They need him. Every player from this point forward is a little bit of a hero, a little fireman, If BCQD loses this, the war is over, of course. It'll be a 3-0 sweep for FXO, and they'll get themselves $1,000. If BCQD can actually win this match, they'll push it to that fourth match, which I believe is Cass versus Lucky. And I really want to see that. That should be an exciting and awesome match.
Oh, yeah.
But getting inside the game here in the lower left-hand side on Daybreak, we do have Empire BCQD going up against the blue Protoss top right-hand corner. FXO Choya, who's trailing 0-1 here. Choya, like we kind of talked about, gave that last game away. A strategy that Huck obviously employs a lot of the time. Very successful. None of these Protoss players would be doing this stuff if it didn't work. But I mean, if you were to look at like some kind of pie chart, a significantly larger percentage of that pie chart would show here's how much you win when it doesn't get scouted, and then the opposite when it does get scouted. It goes from like a pretty cool build to just get out. Get out right now. You have no chance.
I'm interested to see how Choya actually does this game in particular. Now, it's very interesting that you go for that 7-gauge strategy on Tal'Darim Altar. You were talking about that before. Right. Where Tal'Darim Altar, you know, you can really take advantage of warp prisms and having that warp in work for you because you don't have to traverse the map like Terran, like Zerg have to do. So a lot of times Protoss really like that advantage. We didn't see that happen from game number 1. Where does Choya go from here? I mean, I'm just uncertain because he's chosen Daybreak. It is looks like it's a gateway-less Nexus, so he is going Nexus first, and then
Protoss
Gateway.
love.
It's just like I don't know. It's out there. I think this would have been a much better build on Tal'Darim Altar.
Yeah, Daybreak's a really good PvT map. A lot of Protoss players. This is becoming one of their go-to maps. Ramp leading up to the natural, of course, a little bit further away, from the next eye. Oh wow, double gas. I'll get to that in a second. That's really weird stuff. Actually, I think I know where he's going with this. There might be a chance that he goes Forge, and this is something really new. If he doesn't, then I won't. Anyways, Daybreak's a good map for Protoss. If you look around the map, it's fairly tight. Everywhere you go, it's pretty channeled. There are, of course, some openings, but if you avoid those openings, you're followed immediately by a small little alleyway or narrowed space. So it's a pretty good map for force fields. One of the only dangers is this third. If a Terran attacks through that back door, there is empty space, or if you put a cluster of Vikings, you can actually get a lot of free shots on Colossi. So that's, if you avoid that danger or are aware of it, and keep your Colossus away from that close that space and have your Stalkers on that side, then this map just remains pretty dang good for you. Now, the Terran player is responding by going double command center. He's actually sneaking an expansion on the lower right-hand side. I love this choice. He can dump all his mules over there. You will never, ever find it. This is not any place the Protoss player should be for a while. Now, returning to that double gas, Gretorp, I have no idea. There's no Forge here. I mean, I guess he's just going to walk sentries out forever. That's the only thing I can think of with that double gas.
It could be a stockpile, and he might very well go double Forge, so there is room for you still to be absolutely correct.
Well, yeah, he'll eventually get the double Forge, I'm sure, but you don't need to go double gas this fast to get double Forge going. Like, that's...
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
Really weird. Not sure why... Okay, well, don't get me wrong. Sentry count in this beginning stage is pretty good. You get that sentry working for you, of course, getting the mana ASAP.
Oh
so
God.
You're looking in a pretty good position overall, I think, but...
Terran once again scouts that pylon right away. The nice thing here is that there's actually no attack coming behind this. Like,
yes,
Choya put this pylon down mega super early, and as it functions right now, it's kind of a false informant. So BCQD is starting to build bunkers. He's on the one bunker, which is pretty standard, but the second one, and I'm gonna go ahead and guess a third and fourth might be coming out. That would not be standard, but he's doing it because why the heck is there a pylon here already? Is he 7-gating me again?
Ah, so the mind game's playing a little bit in game number 2 where he's showing the pylons, although the pylons are coming down super early. I mean, there are no 2 base, 6 minute and 40 second timings.
Yeah.
It just, you can't get warp gate out that fast. If you do, normally one bunker is going to be enough to actually stop everything. So not sure why he's actually doing such super fast pylons, but it is what it is.
Yep, and we're starting to see that lower right-hand side base being saturated. Mules should all get dropped here. Gretorp had a amazing nugget of information in NASL Season 1, and that is if you're a Protoss player and you scout the mineral lines of your opponent on his first 2 bases, the main and the natural, and you see 0 mules, that should absolutely tell you that there's probably a 3rd base out there somewhere.
Game number 2, Strelec versus Ace and Backwater Gulch. That's when I said it.
Wow, that is crazy accurate memory. So we are going to have like a Zealot Sentry push here. No upgrades behind this. And I really don't like this timing either. I don't think it's going to be a true timing. I think what's going to happen... Well, no, never mind. There's 4 more Zealots to join the force.
He is probing behind this, though. That's...
Yeah, it's not an all-in.
That's showing that he is looking to do just light pressure again. Kind of weird force field out here.
And his Zealots aren't hitting this... Oh my gosh.
Those force fields are terrible.
Like, it was as if he wanted to trap the sentry, or the SCVs, but then his Zealots weren't queued up to attack them, so the Zealots wandered forward and just took damage. He actually just lost. I think it ended up being 3, maybe 4 Zealots absolutely for free, and the force fields were free as well, which isn't that big of a deal because you're going to get more, but the nice thing is for a Terran player, if a guy wastes force fields like that, you know there's no continuation. You're like, oh, okay, well he has to go home now because he has half as many force fields. So I would be so comfortable if I was Beastie Cutie. I would be like, wow, I think I'm gonna 2-0 Choya. Like, this is, he's doing everything he can to help me out here.
Look at the harvester count, 48 right now to 54 with 3 mules. You can look at that as 13.5 extra harvesters. So you can see Terran is way ahead in that income.
Yeah. Gretorp, I think this is a really good spot. I mean,
great spot.
We do have double forge going down for FXO Choya. He's walking out Immortals. He does have that Twilight Council, so I assume he's going to avoid Colossus, at least for now. Probably go down the Charge Lot, perhaps Templar route. A lot of gateways going down. But he's just completely oblivious to that bottom right-hand side. He did get a full look at everything. Beastie Cutie saw 0 mules, but at this stage of StarCraft 2, it's actually not that well known to kind of like the indicators for why a 3rd base might be out there.
Sure.
I would be really weirded out by not seeing mules, but of course, actually look at that. There is a mule inside Beastie Cutie's natural, so perhaps some misinformation going on. It is going to be Blink here as well.
Well, it's interesting. He's gone up to 8 gateways, and he's actually getting, obviously, all of his upgrades. 1-1, 2-2 is probably going to be on the way immediately, but I think 8 gateways is a little excessive. Let's go ahead and look at the income count, or the harvester count, rather. 60 probes is where he can stop. That's where, you know, it's full saturation. It's the maximum saturation. And you're only getting, you know, around 1640 every single time. And with 8 gateways, you can actually spend, with 7 gateways, you can actually spend all that income very efficiently. If you're, you know, very diligent with always spending the warp gates whenever they're up. So going up to 8 gateways is a little bit interesting. I'm not sure the reasoning for that. Would love to actually see what he had in his thought process, because even the robotics facility, that's not going to be constantly used if he's using all 8 gateways.
Yeah, he's got his 3rd observer coming out. He's being very, very active about having information on the board. And the interesting part here is he's actually being so informed on what's going on, specifically in Beastie Cutie's corner, that he's not at all aware, again, of that lower right-hand side base. So I'm sorry to keep bringing us back to that, but it's fascinating that this is completely eluding him. Now, a Templar Archive will go down as well as Charge here, 2-2, as you said, initiated. And it has been being chrono boosted pretty diligently. Now, there still is a pylon, actually, in Beastie Cutie's side, and that's a really good catalyst for Protoss aggression. A lot of times they look off that pylon and say, well, gosh, since that pylon's still there and I can resupply so actively, I should be okay. But look at this! Choya has found out that there is, in fact, a base lower inside, which does mean the party is over. A lot of damage was done in terms of mining. Actually, 1 mineral patch has been mined out entirely.
Nice job. And that's something that's really important. When you ever have these ninja expansions, focus all the mules on particular areas so that when your opponent actually goes up to start to take that expansion, they have less mineral patches to work with. Really important to do.
Supply-wise, they're dead even. Harvester count, like you said, it's actually, with those SCVs dying, it's dropped down to being pretty even. 54 harvesters for the Protoss player, which is exactly what you said, I think, a while ago. So it's actually stopped making harvesters for a while now. Now, without any Colossus tech, these ghosts are extremely powerful because they are the hard counter to a Templar tech, but in this case, even Archons and well-upgraded gateway units.
Yes, and look at this gateway positioning.
Oh, that's
This
bad.
is actually terrible.
Yeah, you're right.
And
those are like Terran force
that
fields.
sucks. He just had to cancel his Nexus because he couldn't get his units down there in time.
He's also adding 4 gateways on top of the 8 that he had. That's a lot of gateways. Zealot counter coming in towards the Terran natural, but there's actually more than enough Terran here to hold this off pretty easily. Gonna land the Vikings just to be safe. Nice thing about Vikings is they can tank that damage, and then if you're active about repairing them, it's almost as if nothing ever happened. The pylon does get scouted. 2 command centers floating around here. So BCQ is about to go from 2 base to 4 pretty soon, so that means that Choya's got to attack now.
He has to do something with this 2-2 timing. He's actually getting 3-3, and he's preparing for that later game stage. So, you know, maybe this attack isn't necessarily the best, but it is taking advantage of his time where he knows his opponent really can't have that big of an upgrade advantage. You can see 2-1 for those Marines, so he has that extra plus 1 armor. We're going to see if this does anything at all. Choya and BCQD at quite equal supplies, both of them, you know, 171, 162.
It's a lot of ghost, Gretorp.
And oh god, money EMPs.
There's 1 EMP, does hit that Archon. But that's so many. I mean, oh my gosh, he's just going to turn that army into butter. I actually used to do the same kind of style that Choya was doing. It has a really cool 2-base timing.
Yes.
But I feel like unless you launch off of this into 3-base Colossus or 3-base Templar into Colossus, it lacks the AoE, which means you're really susceptible to angles against the Terran army. So look at how the Terran army's tucked in behind this planetary. You can't touch that. You absolutely can't touch that. So what Choya's going to do is he's going to go after this relatively defenseless base, which is a great choice. But again, he's susceptible to angles, and there's those EMPs, Gretorp.
Yeah, and all he has to do is ball up. If he balls up, he's in the best position, and then he can obviously kite as well as he wants to. You can see these Zealot Stalkers, Archons, everything like that is actually shucking around into the natural. Very interesting, but great factory placement. I like this. Burning a lot of the charge here.
Sentry's got EMP'd. Oh my god, this is such a bad angle.
And those force shields work so well for the Terran. Look at that. He's trying to get out of here. Can he actually do it? No force shields left. The sentries are completely wasted
59
here.
Marines, Gretorp. 59 Marines. And if you're on a gateway army with no AoE, holy crap. I mean, just a couple of storms. Imagine what that would do to this army for the Terran, against the Terran player. Or just some Colossus, but he has neither.
Yeah, it sucks. Dude, I love that factory, though. Burning up all the charges. It really weakens those Zealots so much. Now, 3-3 is just about to kick in, whereas BCQD
oh, the Immortals got forgotten.
Oh, God, that sucks.
Was that like a hotkey miscue or something? They just stopped.
No clue. No clue.
Oh, my gosh, we're going to have a Doom drop here. That's 6 medevacs loaded with stuff. And the bone of it is actually what's massing up at the Planetary Fortress might be enough to hold off a counterattack. We might have to test that theory because I don't know how many choices Choya has here. Counterattack that left side base, but that's of course not going to do anything because there's no base there. And Choya is going to come home, and he's going to try to do damage control. His base is mostly mined out. So while losing the Nexus does suck, it's not the end of the world.
And he loses one High Templar over there. Not before getting a couple of feedbacks. Very nice feedbacks. Now going to be cutting back a little bit here. These units are forfeit, so that's one thing Choya actually at least has. He was able to clean up this Doom drop. Doom drop didn't really do much.
No.
Say.
The thing is, the Protoss is trailing in supply. He's on equal basis with the Terran players. Now in position to actually make that a completely different story. Look at this. BCQ's got a spring to action, actually. He's moving so slow. There he goes. Zealots fought him 2 seconds. Did 0 damage.
Oof. Nice feedback. Takes out 1 ghost, but it's not going to be enough.
Oh my gosh. There's the storm, but it's going to... Oh, okay. Good storm. Bit of a counter with the Archons. They're having a tough time getting into the Ghost Cloak. There's no detection over here. EMP's going off everywhere. Storm still hits. Lots of damage done, but is it going to be enough? And the base down. This does mean, of course, Choya is down to his 1 mining base. There's a drop inside the main, and that's it. GG. Beastie Cutie puts Empire on the scoreboard with a pretty clean 2-0 victory.
He had no meat. He had no meat to his army. That's the big problem. The meat comes with High Templars or... Well, AoE, I should just say.
Yeah, AoE.
High Templars, Colossus. Not having any of those, I get Marines. Marines, really good against gateway units. What are you going to do?
Really smart choice. I mean, I want to limelight this a little bit. Beastie Cutie you shouldn't just carte blanche make Marines. It sounds funny because they're fantastic, they're cheap, and they have really high DPS. But if your opponent has 4 Colossus and you're a mostly Marine army, or if he has Psionic Storm ditched all over the place and you're a mostly Marine army, you will see carnage to the highest degree, and it is against the Terran player. But in this case, if you're going to hang around well-upgraded Gateway units for as long as Choya did, and you're still pumping up Marines because you're making the read saying, gosh, there's no Colossus here. He'll eventually get the Templar, but there's going to be this like 10-minute gap where I'm okay on Marines. There's no way the Protoss army can stand toe-to-toe with the Terran, which meant that Beastie Cutie was safe taking double expansions at one point. He was okay applying pressure because he knew when he dropped down, even if this drop gets met with an army, there's a good chance that I'm going to trade effectively.
Exactly. And one of the biggest strengths, I think, by going that Gateway style is that you're able to get a huge upgrade advantage. But we saw the whole time BC Cutie, I think because of that third base, he was able to keep relevant with those upgrades really nicely.
Really
Not only that, he was able to fend off against that initial push. Off that, he's saying, okay, there's a big lull. My opponent cannot attack anymore. They need to tech up. So let me go ahead and take that time to get my upgrades. The whole time, BC Cutie was able to have relevant upgrades, and that's a big problem. You really want to empower those Zealots, have that advantage, not 2-1 against 2-2.
Right.
Because then the Marines are doing way too much damage. If it's 2-1 against, or 2-2 against 1-0, then we're looking really good as Protoss.
And I want to say something, too, that Gretorp brought up mid-game. It was a really good point. This is something actually Mao's Morrow came on my stream and really helped me with, and it's really cool. Building placement is so overlooked. It didn't actually end up becoming a big deal, but there's 4 gateways added that were essentially blocking down the ramp for Choya going to his third. This can slow down his army getting as a response to that third. This can also function, as a funnel. If the Terran player army gets there and the Protoss wants to engage, he doesn't have that option, or he has the suicide option, I suppose, because those force fields, or gateways in this case, actually work against him. So little stuff like that. I feel like Choya, of course, if you watch his stream, which is actually active on Team Liquid as well, you'll see that, of course, he's a player on a journey as well. He's at this stage right now, and he's trying to get to a higher stage eventually. I think these are some of the things that will get worked out of his gameplay. And, of course, it's important for us to talk about it so we can also improve as well alongside him. So at this point in time, it's going to be a 2-1 lead for FXO over Empire, but Empire is starting to strike back. That is the best pun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it. That was the best pun of this month. We're going to go into game number 4. It is going to be Cass going up against Lucky. I am thrilled. I'm many excited. Let's get there.
All right. We'll be back.